What's up, Ivies? I don't even know why I call y'all that, but you know why you're here. We're doing a drawing session, but I have to let you know, this video is long, but also you're going to have to stay to the end because I gotta ask you something personally. I need your opinion, and I can't get your opinion if you don't comment on the video or like the video or listen to what I gotta ask you. But it is important because I am coming out with something new, not just the videos you see, not just what you finna watch or the comic e-kings that I got that's already out, but something more. But anyway, I'm not gonna get beside myself. You gotta get in the green.
Can't say I don't feel inside. I wanna be sealed, but got too much pride. I wanna be sealed, but I really heal. Don't really like heal, but I tell you I tried. I did everything else but cry. I done smoke all my weed, young nigga on fried.
Yeah, we do this every video. Every time I tell you to get in the green, and then I talk some more before I get to the main point. I'm stopping you in your tracks. You gotta like the video, subscribe to the channel. Please comment, because I want to ask you which one of the 3 drawings at the end of the video is worth making a one-shot out of. You know, a 50, 60-page standalone comic that can be, you know, published digitally, and I want to make actual prints of. So you're gonna watch me draw and yap. You're gonna see how I do, but I'm also gonna need your opinion, your input. It matters. So this ain't just it ain't just my video. It's your video. But that's all. Make sure you read E-Kings on Webtoon. Man, I work hard on that comic. Them patrons be eating for like $1, $3, like that much a month just to read a chapter ahead within a month. Matter of fact, Chapter 11 is already worded. All I really need to do is finish the inking for it, submit some more, and it'll be out before what? Chapter 10 is out even? So Chapter 10 and 11 will be out before the end of June, and you still won't even have Chapter 10 until the end of June. You're gonna have to get on that, man. I'm sorry, but yeah, actually, let's go draw. I won't talk no more. I talked the whole video, but we're gonna talk and draw. Yeah. To get started, I would like to say there's stuff I have planned, honestly, but there's no but. Like, I'm trying to get that in the works now. Like, I want physical items that I can sell to you all. So y'all need to, you know, get tuned in with my Patreon, because I do make announcements on there. I have recently about what I want to do. Actually get E-Kings and other artworks in print to sell. So like, not only would you have stories to physically read for yourselves, but you'd also have something to hold, you know, like, because reading the comics digitally is great because it does save cost in terms of getting the story out, but to make money and to have a bigger impact on people, a physical product is always a must. But best way to start, maybe just throw down some panels. I don't typically use pencils, but I would like to start treating my line art a little more careful, because, you know, you see my style on here when I draw and it looks very loose, and that's fine, but let's give this drawing session some clarity. I think maybe for one of the first things I'll do in print to give to you all, or not one of the first things, but one of the few things to have like out story-wise, would be a one-shot, because now that I've gotten used to writing my own stuff, you get me, 40, 50 pages in a chapter, 30 pages. A one-shot of a collective 50 to 60 pages would not be that hard to make. Now, writing it, that's a different ballpark. But honestly, I can spend my time brainstorming, conjuring up until I have something within a 50 to 60 page range that is, you know, good as one package, but could come as more if need be. So honestly, please stay tuned for that, because it really should not be long. I have something more to tell you about it, or just show you in general. But for this drawing session, let's build some scenes. I think with this arch, I could build, you know, some sort of gateway, or like underneath of a bridge, or maybe windows. I've kind of had a favor for stained glass windows. I mean, because they're ultra colorful, but they come in so many fragments. And so each piece has its own significant role in playing. I mean, of course, with any artwork, any stroke you make or any any dot you add, like pointillism. But in my days, because I used to be a Boy Scout, we would have to have meetings at a church. But if you've seen any of my content, you understand I'm not the most religious. So it's not like I revered this church as a place of safety and guidance, but as a chore, in a way. But the stained glass was so pretty. Like, the way light just breaches through the glass and, like, really gives each piece its own voice. Like, honestly, it's such a nice sight. Like, if this world wasn't the way it was, and I could live closer to my own ideal, I think for a home, I would want just a room full of stained glass. Like maybe as a part of a studio, big open window, and maybe a portion or, the border of it is stained glass. I think that'd be cool. That would be pretty nice. But I am I'd say pretty grateful for how things have turned out. With all my efforts when it comes to the artwork or the channel or just videos in general. Because it's not that I'm seeking like ultra attention. So all the people that have been supporting, liking, like y'all have honestly helped me greatly in terms of succeeding with the dream. Because my efforts were there, but it wasn't for people actually engaging that I could have something to truly say I succeeded with. And so I don't want to let anybody down when it comes to the things I create or, the projects I come out with. You know what I mean? You get me? But with all this time I've spent, pouring into my craft and my content, I've gotten a clear goal of, how to combine all the things I care about into a venture that matters. So I do hope that anyone watching that, typically watches my videos, engages with my other media, whether it's on like my other socials or my comic, I do hope that, you've had a decent experience when it comes to like all this. Because there'll be more. Like, I understand that if I do want more growth, if I do want more people to come and show up, I have to offer more, even if I am just one person. But on one hand, it's like, do I really want that much on my plate? But at the same time, typically, every time I've grown, it meant me having to put more on my plate, in a way. Which I guess is something I should pay attention to more, now that I say it out loud. But I guess that is to say, like, originally Eat Kings was just a concept on TikTok. I got a little bit of encouragement, so it became a real series to ponder and think about. And it became a little short comic I posted on Instagram. It got some likes or whatever. Then I was able to kind of upload them on other platforms, just put them out for people to laugh at, have their own little opinion, have characters to look into and enjoy on a weekly basis, just laugh at. But I was always going to tell like a greater story. But I just needed an audience of people that cared about what I was putting forward already. And I needed something, so I started small. And I just hope I can expand at a way that's safe for me, but also satisfying to watch, honestly. Well, stained glass doesn't look like this, but this could be a cool scene for something I have set in the future, Because Eat Kings isn't the only story I want to write. Now, if we're talking about, like, other characters, other projects, honestly, I may have y'all vote on the one shot I put out if I don't just go with the idea in my head. Like, I present forward, hey, here's 3 stories I've had thought-ups of, and here's some artwork for each one. How about y'all choose which one I come out with first? And I'll give you like just a basic idea of what it is. But I've got some help with getting these things out physically. So it may not take too long to develop like a little prototype to look at, get printed out. So that's why y'all gotta tap in with my socials. My Instagram, my TikTok. And I'll have to definitely come out with a website to get everything in order. So please, I'll let y'all know when that's out. Especially on the Patreon, like that. They're typically going to be the first to know. But I don't think it should be too much work. Like, honestly, making the story and such will probably be easier now that I've essentially for months been having to write and draw this ongoing story. And I've enjoyed the process. even the more sluggish parts where I had to find my footing, because it's still in its beginning stages. But if people are here now, then I think a lot more people will show up to enjoy. But these stained glass windows look pretty cool. But, let me not yak too long to y'all. What are y'all listening to right now? Or what do y'all listen to when you draw? I ask this every video, but, not everyone's going to make the same comment over. You're not always listening to the same thing. Right now, I for sure have on... Let me see. I don't even want to show y'all what E-Kings looks like right now, but, y'all, the story's cooking up. I do have my folks read it early and such, just to get a feel for, how people receive the chapters before they're out. I still got some pacing issues, little story's a bit more quick than I'd like it to be, but it's still an experience where I put the characters first, and as long as people have a character to root for or have a character to hate or enjoy in some way, not think that I can typically deliver on something like that. I just hope everybody gets their turn to speak, you get me? And even though, a lot of people find me for my more serious videos where I talk about, the state of the world and such, it's first and foremost, I'm an artist before even really an orator, but I consider those things the same. I'll honestly talk more about that on my next podcast episode. That's if it comes out after this video, because I'll probably try and record some of it the same day, if not the same day, So I don't want to keep saying, oh, stay tuned, but literally, because I'm trying to come out with more so people aren't just getting stale stuff, I want my thing to be different. You're coming to me because you want this and I can deliver. Because there's got to be at least one person out there that watches this video right now and it's yeah, man, I was reading them shorts from back in the day, man. I've been seeing all the growth. This is crazy. Not even a year ago, you was drawing 4-panel comics, and now I'm reading this stuff in front of me. I'm showing people. I hope that happens someday. And I've been trying to speak my future into existence in that way for so long, and it's good that it's finally panning out. I don't want to give the idea of these words are truly magic, even though in some way I do somewhat believe it. But just more of I do appreciate the people supporting me and how much this is all come out to be. This drawing is not bad. I just gotta figure out how I fit this into the story. Cause I want my story to be bizarre. You can tell I'm a massive JoJo's fan, but it's not that I'm trying to do JoJo's my way. It's just that getting into so many different kinds of media has had me truly want to do my own thing. And it's just that when it comes to presentation, it could remind you of other things that I really enjoy, because it's I want to be that authentic in my work. But let's build up another scene, something different. Let's build up a little tree line with palm trees and such. Even though I'm not from an area that even has these. But it's so crazy to think that, with how much I do, how much I put out, I could honestly be closer to the people I look up to. Because I was young watching white manga, Coterie Inc. There were other art YouTubers I was watching. I think, what's his name? His avatar was a white dude with orange hair, and it was Kuzo Mari. It was something. He was a great artist. And I just felt my art wasn't legitimate because it either wasn't serious or because it couldn't be as accurate as theirs. I was putting myself down because I wasn't at a level of people that have been doing this for years. That has nothing to do with me. I was going to have to find my own path. And that's the truth. You do have to find your own path. There are other people that can give you answers that help you walk it better, but it's still yours. These trees look a little funny. These trees look a little funny, man. Draw a hammock between it. Got the feet out. Yeah. Enjoying life like nobody else could tell me. a lot of younger artists or folk that are trying to get into drawing, you know, they'll obsess over their art style or if it looks good, but it's like, honestly, if you get your message down, that's all that matters. Make sure you know what you're depicting, and if it means anything to you, what does it mean to you? And that's typically all that matters, because sometimes it's not even truly about like accuracy in terms of how close is it to real life, but just if the message comes off to the person the right way. Like, if I draw a coconut, I'm probably gonna draw like a brown circle with, you know, lines around the end just to communicate that idea. I don't need like ultra highlights, ultra shading, or things of that nature to like deliver the idea of a coconut. It just needs to have the motifs that, you know, remind you of that. And once you have that as a base, everything else is just fundamentals to enhance that. Like, what more matters to you? And so, yeah, there's just gravitas when it comes to learning artistic fundamentals, but it's not as if it's like closed off to anyone. Like, it's simpler than you think, because it's less about, oh, how do I do this? How do I keep doing this? It's just about, you know, building a visual library that you almost don't even have to fully refer to. It's just kind of there on standby. So it does get easier, faster, simpler, but it means you have to do it. You have to do it first. And then you get those movements, you get those correlations. You start actually seeing the success you wanted because you've had so much fun with it, or you've been so headstrong you don't even realize. Like, at some point, me drawing so often for the fun of it outweighed me wanting to just be better. It was happening as I was doing it. Obviously, once you get your good base, it's just about learning more about the things you probably don't draw. Like, I probably couldn't draw a bunch of lines, machinery, or hands, especially as one amorphous blob monster. But if I did it, and I sat down and I looked my references over, got some good hand warm-ups in, I probably could do it, but I typically don't. So if I just tried it, raw dogged it, I don't think it'd be successful. I could try. Every artist is going to need references. Even if you are great at observing real life, you'll have to, you know, sit down and get familiar with some things that you typically haven't to draw on. That's just how it is. Everyone starts off a little blind. That's just how it is. I know these sketches make it seem like I'm not, you know, Illustrator 3000. But you gotta be more free in your sketchbook, even if it is for more simple things. Those sprawling scenes, those great, you know, page spreads that you see don't come about just all the time off the rip. Those be good freestyle too. You just get a good flow going with a grand idea. But sometimes you need the simple things. These simpler drawings, because it allows you to truly understand what detail is. It's not about all this stuff that's visually stimulating you. It's about understanding that every aspect of your piece has a story to it. And you give each of it a voice. And sometimes the smaller voices fill in the gaps. Remember that everything has a voice or a character. Like when I heard someone talk about treating settings like a character, it was an impactful bit of advice because I really wasn't doing that. I just needed something to hold in the background. But remember, these are three-dimensional objects that exist too, that came about through some kind of circumstance. They have an origin just as you do, and that must reflect in their presence. That's just how it is. But the borders around these little sketches just let me make this sketchbook look like it's organized. I'm playing a Spotify radio, so I don't even know truly what this song is. Where's my iPad? Oh. And while y'all are watching me draw and stuff, what are y'all drawing? Or like, do y'all just kind of listen to me talk and hear what I've got to say? Because people come in for different stuff, and I keep having to remember that. Like, some people are here because they're like, oh, you know, I agree with this. I agree with this take in terms of social or political criticisms or just statements. But some people are here for solely art. I've even gotten, you know, comments on videos where I'm talking about acceptability or tolerance, and people are like, oh, just talk about art. Like, where do you think this comes from? Like, For me to build worlds in my head, I have to care about things other than myself. So I have to almost force myself to go out there and see these things. It's just the case. You have to care about other things if you're going to be good at art in any way. Like sometimes your greatest artists are typically also proficient in some other field. Whether it's like botany or like marine aquatics or just very adept at like gaming or something. Or, extremely well read. Like, yeah, they do love art, but there's probably going to be something else they like a lot too that they're also kind of drawn upon. Like some people maybe only draw like beetles or insects. They love those insects. They probably know a lot about them. They make good illustrations of beetles. Like, you can draw what you want and be great at that. And trying to change my art for someone other than me had me drawing stuff that I didn't like. And it wasn't going to help me get better because now I'm not liking drawing because I'm not drawing what I like. That's just not what it is. Taking a break, guys. I got to look over E-Kings just a little second. I got 18. I've got 13 pages more to word and line up. But honestly, and within like, I could get this comic, like this chapter 11, fully worded and sketched out before chapter 10 releases on the webtoon. And I can even have 12 probably sketched out before, the summer's end. I could probably even have it finished before the summer's end, if need be, truly. Because it's not taking that long. I could start and probably get it done. But that's why y'all gotta read E-Kings, especially on the Patreon. Because I'm gonna have that extra tier on there and y'all gonna be like, whoa, we about to get real stuff? Yes. So tune into that Patreon because it's only $1. But when that next tier come out, y'all are gonna want it, I promise you. I promise you. I have something to deliver to you and you won't want to say no. You'll be itching for it, I promise. Because that's a trade-off, right? If I give you something especially of a greater value, deliver something bigger to the table, you're gonna be hungry, man. Be honest. If I delivered E-Kings to you, would you read it? But anyway, no more yet. Let's draw something else. We got one more little bubble down here. What do I want to draw? When I was a kid, I would draw flowers a lot of flowers, superheroes, things of that nature. So honestly, if I had to study any artistic movement, or if I had to say any was my favorite, Art Nouveau's definitely up there. And every art movement has like its peaks, its interests, its icons. But I just loved Art Nouveau because you'd have something like this, and then like a person standing in front, and then like around their form is just curving forms. No straight lines. Like Art Nouveau really took nature to its core and was gonna show you stuff that like your eyes had almost never seen, like nature and geometry in a non-linear tandem, because you weren't gonna get any straight lines. And so when I get the money for more of these tattoos, I'm gonna have some more tattoos, and not only more of these spirals, but maybe even some more plants, like actual water lilies, like on my back or so. And also, I want to get some colored strings for my banjo. I feel like if I have strings of specific colors, I could hear its voice better. But when it comes to like how inanimate objects like speak or communicate or things of that nature, I'm just gonna talk about it on the podcast, so it doesn't sound like I'm just hearing stuff out of my head, because that's not really what it is. At least not for me specifically. But I'm glad people still come to listen. Whether it's just me drawing, whether it's a sketchbook tour, whether it's just me yapping in front of my phone. There are people that listen to these discussions because it resonates with them. So that's why, like, when people talk about content creation, I do encourage it, because you probably will find people that think like you in a way where it's like, okay, I'm not crazy. It's just not everyone's going to see the same way you do. Don't force yourself in echo chambers, but it's nice to be like, okay, I'm not going wrong. I'm not thrown off by whatever was presented in front of me. You get me? I don't even know what this scene is, but I think I can use it. Let me try something like this. So, like, honestly, if you're a fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you'll like E-Kings. But there's definitely other mangas or comics or, stories that I'm pulling in from influence. I don't think it's just JoJo's one-to-one. That's not the pitch. But if you're a JoJo's fan, you'll find some comfort in E-Kings. You'll at least like the camp or the comedy or the bizarreness. Especially the situations I want to present to my main characters. I want to give this world stories of people that look like me. And now there's a generation of people waiting to see more black stories. And I don't think they'll be disappointed by what I have to present. And I don't think y'all will be either. Which is why there's so many of you here, the 2,000 of you or so. And I appreciate that greatly. Honestly, how much time I got left and what is my phone percentage? What's up, chat? I'm gonna make 3 more, well, not 3 more drawings, technically 9 more drawings, but I want to just draw out the little ideas I've got for some one-shots. I don't want to just spill them and then have somebody steal them or whatever, because there's gonna be some stories besides E-Kings that I'm gonna tell. But at least you gotta read E-Kings to understand how I'm gonna write these other stories. But I want y'all to decide what comes out as a one-shot to buy and read for yourselves. A 50-60 page one-shot. It essentially just be a story that is self-contained, start to finish, within 50 to 60 pages. Kind of like if you've read the Death Note one-shot with Minoru Tanaka. You got the Death Note manga or the anime, and then after the Death Note manga and anime came out, there was the one-shot with Minoru as the Death Note holder. So I just be doing a self-contained, multi-page little story that does set place in the E-Kings world. I think that'll be cool. But my phone's dying, so let me get these panels preset before I add anything to them. And y'all will have something to look at. Or at least you can see me flesh out these ideas for yourself, and you can decide which one may be the best for you. And also, are my videos too long? Because I'll draw and yap and have not that much down. It'll be 40 entire minutes. But either way, I don't think y'all mind it. Y'all still come back to watch me draw, watch me yap. So it can't be too bad. But, it gets like that from time to time. Because I want y'all to see what I got going. And I want you to be part of it. I want you to feel like your voice actually matters. 3 stories, and depending on your choice, there'll be one shot to release. And you'll have an actual copy for yourselves. Hey y'all, I did some mining off camera. But for the 3 stories I want to present to you, first we have Buffer. So if I were to release a one-shot, 50 to 60 pages of a standalone story, my hands are a little dry. Don't make fun of me. But if I were to release a standalone one-shot to introduce to you all, my series is my art in print, I want to first start off with, just a little one-shot of one of these 3 stories, Buffer, Crybaby, or, Idol. These are 3 stories that I feel that I have, some ideas with that, if y'all chose, it could be, a cool little introduction to my work. Just for people that are unfamiliar with E-Kings, but also want something that's complete so they can get a sense of how I write. Now, originally, I probably would have just went all in with Icon, even though out of all the drawings, it looks the least developed. But to be honest, I feel like if I have y'all vote on which one y'all would want to have as a one-shot, or at least the first thing I release as a physical medium, y'all could choose. I'll go through these stories and toss around what ideas I have, and y'all can let me know in the comments which one of these series you want to see in physical print for release. So like, whichever one of these y'all choose, I'll get something fully written, fully sketched out, fully colored, standalone one shot, and hopefully if there's enough folks on my Patreon, because y'all will get announcements on there, you can, see for yourselves when I drop this. That way the audience at least has a say in what y'all get. Like, I don't want to just sell y'all something and y'all don't want it. Like, so let me go through these stories and tell y'all what I have to offer for these, and hopefully y'all will like what I have to deliver. So first, we got Buffer. For this story, I'm thinking, now mind you, my stories do take place in the same universe, so I guess there will be some overlap, but not too much to where it's dependent. All within the same city for sure. That matters. This story, as you can tell, is called Buffer, or at least that's what I'll call it until I get a real title. I was thinking I could color this while that way y'all have something to watch, because y'all don't usually see me color, even though I used to go ham, like, chat, I used to go ham with colors back in the day. But I was thinking, now granted, a lot of my markers are dry, I'm thinking for this story it'd be about a man who has been heavily sedated off of, pharmaceutical meds for a lot of his life. A lot of people that have like ADHD or other conditions, maybe even not even necessarily neurodivergent ways of living, but a lot of people in this world don't truly need to be medicated. This world just isn't built for them. And so this story is about a guy that, starts to realize that his life has been dulled because he's kept himself sedated for the sake of society. And so he kind of explores his options in a way. He kind of goes full send into the other way. So instead of sedating himself off of government regulated substances, he dives deeper into something that he truly doesn't know enough about. And it changes his world, it changes his perspective. And so eventually his own reality, he has to now look at and wonder, is it still valid even if it is distorted, With a lot of these stories, you're going to see my characters undergo a transformation. Obviously, that's how stories work. But they all have to do with cycles. And regardless of which story you get, it means you'll at least be able to grasp, the idea that I get when I'm writing my works. But for Buffer, I wanted it to be like green, neon-ish. Like, that's the kind of vibe I feel like it deserves, But I haven't used these colors in so long. So it's really anybody's guess how they present on paper. But I figure the protagonist's name could be David, living in the same city as my main characters in E. King's Tree and J. But where does it take place in time? I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere previous to where we're already at in the story, which y'all should give E. King's a read genuinely, because I work on it often. Constantly putting out better, learning from previous releases. It's something I care about a lot, and I want to give y'all something more so that you're not just reading the one thing if it's not for you. A story with a different vibe, but similar art style and presentation from me. I figured that would be like I feel like that'd be a good gift, because what I want to come out with is actual E. Kings in print to sell to people, so that way they don't have to, the releases can come straight to them. You get me? And if you're ever not caught up, you just subscribe to the service. You get like physical things like it. I have a plan for how I want this to come out, like a monthly subscription service where I'm releasing comics, kind of like a magazine. It comes out with the new chapters of E. Kings. You get like character art, sketches, probably even other things. Just my other thoughts. Like, you get a collection of things. So it's a magazine with writings, art, things of that nature. Like, you get E. King still, you get other content, but you also get it physically. I feel like that would be cool, It's old school, but it's using new faculties. Buffer quite literally is going to be a trip. I think that's the best way to describe it. So if this is the one that's chosen, you'll get a trip. It does mean, most likely these one-shots will be a lot more finished looking than E. King's, because since I at least try to come out with those on like a monthly basis, it means that, you get me? I won't have like pages that are kind of plain or, very simple in presentation. I can at least give each page and panel some attention, because it'll just be a standalone release. So why not give it its all? But then again, for printing, it may be easier to just have a cover that's fully ornate and have just monochrome pages with a lot of detail in the shading and line art. That might be my best bet, just to save money. But I do hope that y'all can let me know, out of all the stories, once I show you them all and I color these panels just to get a good look, you tell me which one may be good for you. But I've been, writing stories all my life. Like, I'd be in class, finish with my work early, and I'd just grab a bunch of paper and just start drawing in class. I'd make stories up, I'd make books in a way. Like, what I've done as a kid is essentially what I'll refashion into a more profitable medium now, I guess is the best way to put it. Which, nothing wrong with that. I think it's great that I could bring back something I've done before, but maybe even use it to sustain myself and give people a piece of me in a way. So honestly, if y'all are in support of some of my artwork and comics in print, please let me know. I can have one of these out after it's written and scripted and edited and stuff. It can be out digitally on Webtoon as a separate standalone series, and it can also be its own physical print as one of my first prints to, have delivered to people. That's how I want this to go. I'm really just grabbing random colors and seeing what I like the most. It's no different than how I color E-Kings, but there's at least a minimal harmony here. But by the way, my markers are really dry because I got these for sure I think it was my sophomore year of high school. It had to have been. So these markers are old. And even if y'all don't see me talk about, choosing a one shot to have printed and featured as an actual piece, you can follow my Instagram and you'll most likely see it there. I'll probably try to do reminders or something about that post. But posts just aren't immortal on Instagram. Even though, yeah, it's digital, it'll be there forever. It's they don't truly last forever. But I think David's story of almost unraveling his world and making it something new for himself, even if it does come through suffering and great awakenings and schisms in his own day-to-day life, I think it'll be interesting too, regardless of how it turns out in the end. I just hope people are around to see that, if this is the one chosen, because you still got other stories I need a lighter color to layer over it, and then I'll keep the eyes just the plain one color. Now, I really never much use my markers in this way, but now that I've been doing a lot more digital art, the way I use these is definitely going to be different than before. And so I'm interested to see how this will look, because obviously I'll still be coloring normal, but it won't be the same as how my old drawings used to look. Unless y'all were around for my early TikTok era, or I was kind of trying to post my work, you probably wouldn't even realize what I'm trying to go for, maybe, or how similar this may look to older stuff. I don't want it that dark. I'm really just pulling out random colors and seeing what works. And the worst part is most of my reds are cooked. Do I still have my colorless blender in here? That would be amazing. I do. And I dropped it. I need a Just using what I know to get this made and see how it'll turn out. But I'm kind of liking the inventiveness of what I just pulled out here. This ancient Joestar technique. Because I never layered my markers before. I placed down a flat color and then I'd probably go over with a darker variation. But layering these, I see why people do that. Which is odd that I really never did in the first place. I definitely need something else to top this. Like his skin. Nah, that one might be too dark. Because like a lot of these markers seem like they're cool, and then you actually try them out and it's like, bro, it's too much of what I'm not looking for. Like I just wanted a soft pink. Let me try this out on the side margin. That is too dark, man. I need like a light pink. A very light pink. This might work. It's working, but it's also not. But telling these other stories will definitely give me a chance to like stretch my muscles and see how I'm vibing with like this whole like storytelling thing. You get me? So many of my markers are like dried out now. Almost nothing I can do about it. Like I might have to just get new ones, but it's like they're not that cooked. Like they're not that done for yet. But it is what it is. I'll use them as I please. I think that's a cool... I don't think if I had Buffer as a cover, I don't know if it would look like this. I had another drawing that was basically just like this, if you've seen in my older videos. But let's move on to this one, Crybaby. Now, Crybaby is a different one. This is not a story about a drug trip or like a great awakening, but this is a story about grief and what it means to ignore yourself. And so the idea was that the main protagonist, I haven't figured out their name, most likely to do with the death of a parent. An urn or a statue appears at their door and it begins to wail. And they can't figure out why. And so over the course of the story, obviously this wailing stone urn gets ignored. And that's too dark. It doesn't dry bad, but it's too dark. And so this story would, explore grief, moving on, death. My markers are so dry. I might have to just submit and go all in or something. Why are all my colors so dark? Let's do this one. Now, I had to at least pitch 3 different stories ideas to you as IVs, tadpoles, whoever you may be and wherever you come from. Because if I give y'all a choice, then it's like, okay, if this is the story you want to see, I can come and deliver. At least you have a choice. There may be people actually guaranteed to show up and, okay, the little synopsis and your artwork got me a little interested. Let's see that one. Let's see how this one comes out. But a one-shot would be cool since I wouldn't have to, write a full manga. Even though I'm in America and my art style barely looks manga close. It just looks cartoonish when I draw these characters, but that's fine. I'm gonna let my influence stretch. I'm not even gonna be like overly tripped or embarrassed about it. I don't need my art to be overly serious or like close to real life to be taken serious. My affection for the whole process is what matters the most. Y'all see that? But maybe watching me draw is like a more interesting fit, since I, get on the internet and I'm like, oh, go draw. But it's like, have y'all seen me just sit and chill and draw? Now, sadly, my colors leak through to the other side. I should have known, but I didn't really expect that I'd be doing too much coloring. Now with the urn, obviously this still is set in the world of E-King, so objects, conjured items, they just still gonna have words expressed on them. There's an inner idea of objects having, everything in this world having its own voice or a way of being talked to. And that's what people in this world must learn. How to talk to each other. I think that's the magic we've lost. So that's what I'm kind of going for with these stories. You get me? I think this would be an interesting story. Bro, that was too dry. So is this one. And it's like, I could buy some markers, but your boy's a little broke, gang. That's why y'all gotta support the Patreon. That way I can bring you quality content, art, stories. Y'all have an escape from the life that, we all want to build something better from. You can support E-Kings on Patreon for like $1 or $3 a month. You could even be a free patron. You'll still get stuff there. But for when I actually come out with like a magazine for E-Kings and like deliver copies to people, that's going to be, of course, that's going to have to be paid for. Like the delivery, the physical work. But at least that will be worth the price. You're not just paying to have a guy continue doing the thing he was doing before he was getting paid. You get like something real, something to keep with you, something you remember. And like, that's what I've been trying to build to. So hopefully, one of these stories will be chosen and I can do it great service in getting it written and getting it out to all of you. That's what I hope for. I know my art always looks like a mess in these videos, but like at least it's a more honest look at how all this kind of functions. Well, I've ruined the page for that one, but it's fine. This is the story of Crybaby, one of grief, loss, and neglect. And if this is the one you want, let me know in the comments. You could subscribe to the channel, like the video. Let me know, like, actually speak your voice. Messy job, but it gets the idea down and it gets it down well. Just adding color makes these worlds a little more lively. And well, it's all messy, but this one is idle. Now, this story, I'd say out of all three, is the most cooked up in my head, or at least for the message. And so, the plain idea is of, I haven't decided the gender, but I'd say most likely a woman of an ancient tribe finds powers to defend her village and her people, and she becomes basically like a god to them. But I don't want to talk too much more about it because, well, no. Let's talk about it. I want this story to be about what it means to become a myth. How a person living as a praised idol or god can be stripped of their humanity living, and only after they die, where there is iconography or messages or statues erected in their honor, are those things given the humanity they were never given in real life. But it isn't really about the deification of objects or statues, but rather the echoes of living memories. The messages that we pass on as living creatures. That's what Idol is about. And yeah, I spoiled it. There's obviously deeper level themes I could jab into the story with detail and page count. But out of all of these, this one is the one I had the most thought. I was actually just going to come out with this, but I was like, if I let the audience choose, then at least they'll have a story they want. And even if the other two of whatever one gets, whichever two of the three that don't get chosen can still be made. They just won't be the first thing I come out with for you all to read. So that's why I had to pitch this as an idea, because I'm like, let me come out with a story that is chosen, that is wanted, and then if you do like those and you like the magazine that I'm trying to come out with, subscribe to that Patreon, then these other stories will come out and probably even be better than the others. So please, I do need your input. Now, for Idol, I'm gonna have to do a lot of research, because the world of E-Kings definitely takes place in a timeline similar to Earth, but obviously there's deviations and changes, and of course the logic doesn't work the same. But I'm using this mirror of a world that's able to have the abstract show up concretely as a way of commenting on our own world. So that's why I need to tell these various stories across the world that E-Kings is set in. Even though, the other two are in a more closer time to the current story, in basically the same setting, Idol is in a different time, different place, same universe, same sentiments. Obviously, once a story is chosen and I can actually begin working, y'all will get like snippets of its work and like how it turns out on my Patreon. So like, don't think you'll just be left in the dark. But at the same time, I don't want to like just spoil too much. But that way I can actually have a universe of characters and other figures for people to not attach to, but like, hey, I mess with this. Like, out of everything he's made, there's at least something for me. So people aren't just subjected to the same one niche thing over and over. But like, you could come and touch up on those other niche things, But I'm gonna put a bit of me in every one of these stories, And I think that's justified. I know these sketches are messy and my ramblings may be a bit nonsensical, but like I said, let me know which one of these three stories I should make into an actual one-shot for not only digital release, but physical print publication and distribution. That way people have a real copy to, read and cherish and analyze all day. So, if this is something that you're interested in seeing more of, Buffer, a drug trip that awakens sleeping desires, or Crybaby, a story of grief, loss, and composure, and neglect, and how that can bubble over in real life, or Idol, a story of gaining humanity after a life is lost, and what it means to carry a message. I think regardless of which one of these stories is chosen, with a bit more effort, tweak, and thought, they could each be a standalone great piece. But let's get a look at me, and let me yap to y'all before I let you go. But I do hope you've enjoyed this session, and that out of all this, you can see my daily doodles on Instagram. Well, I don't know if I really post daily doodles on Instagram, but you will see my sketches on there. Like, you see me post my art on there all the time. Let me yap to y'all. Probably just gonna tell you the same thing I do before. Man, I hope that you've really racked your brain and you've taken into consideration your options in front of you. If you'd rather have a physical work of Idol, Crybaby, or a Buffer. But I just want to remind you, after all this drawing we've done, it's for your sake. You get me? It's not just for me to show you and blah, 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 blah. It's for me to share, in a way. I want other people to experience the same thing I do when I draw or I tell stories or I make art. I feel like we're losing that. There's ways that we've been taught in this life that are slowly starting to dry out. Our access to such precious things are being limited. But the worlds that we wish to see will always be visible in our artwork. And so, That's why I still do this. I'm glad you've watched all of this so far. You've seen me yap for this whole time because these videos get long. But I appreciate your stay. I really do appreciate your presence. There's not much more for me. You know I work hard on that comic. You know I'm posting on the Instagram to get those drawings out the way, or just to talk, Some of y'all are here because I talk, and y'all like to hear me talk. But like I said, I'm gonna hold you too long. You guys make your daily doodle, please. Get in the green.
Honestly, can't say I don't feel insane. I wanna be sealed, but got too much pride. I wanna be sealed, but I'm really hip. Don't really like hip, but I tell you I tried. I done did everything, get but cry. I done smoke all my weed, young nigga on fried. You can see all this shit in my eyes.